Today, we are learning Rabbi Sacks's insights on the Parsha. The Torah portion this week is Sisa, and it talks about the sin of the golden calf. Now, there is one section in the Torah portion that is quite hard to. It's hard to understand. It never really seems to go so smoothly, and Rabbi Sacks tries to give a little insight so that we could actually understand, at least on a simple level. He tries to give a very nice understanding of where it fits in and what the idea is. Rabbi Sacks also connects this essay with last week's essay, and there seems to be a connection in the content of what Moshe was trying to do was similar to the idea that we brought about, that we discussed, and Rabbi Sacks developed last week in his essay. So let me read for you the Torah portions, the section where it's hard to understand. So chapter 33 is the complicated section. Chapter 32 talked about the sin of the golden calf. The Jewish people sinned, and the punishment of those that initially God wanted to destroy the Jewish people, and Moshe went up to heaven to try to beg Hashem for forgiveness. Let me just mute everyone here. Okay. So in chapter 32, you have the story of Moshe coming down and seeing what's going on in the Jewish camp. And Hashem tells Moshe, like in verse 7, Hashem told Moshe, go descend, for your nation that you have brought up from Egypt has degenerated, and they have strayed quickly from the way I have commanded them. They have made themselves a molten calf, prostrated themselves to it, sacrificed to it. And they said, these are your gods, O Israel, which brought you up from the land of Egypt. And Hashem said to Moshe, I have seen this people, and behold, this stiff-necked people. Now let me go. Let my anger burn against them, and I shall annihilate them, and I shall make you a great nation. So here, this is a very scary statement where Hashem tells Moshe that I'm going to destroy the Jewish people, but you will be you and your family will be the future of the Jewish people. So instead of having everyone, it'll just be Moshe's family. That was Hashem's response to the golden calf. And of course, Moshe fought back, and he tells Hashem, what will Egypt say when you go kill out the whole nation?
The shanda for the neighbors.
With evil intent did he take them out to kill them in the mountains, to annihilate them from upon the face of the earth. Relent from your burning anger, reconsider regarding the evil against your nation. Remember Abraham, Yitzchok, and Yaakov, your servants, that you swore to them by your very self, and you told them, I shall increase your offspring like the stars of the heavens, and this entire land of which I spoke I shall give to your offspring, and they shall have it as a heritage forever. Hashem reconsidered regarding the evil that he declared he would do to the people. And then Moshe turned and descended from the mountain with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, and the tablets inscribed on both of their surfaces. They were inscribed on one side and on that. And the tablets are the work of Hashem. The script was the script of Hashem, etched and engraved on the tablets. Joshua heard the sound of the people and its shouting, and he said to Moses, the sound of battle was in the camp. And he said, it is not the sound of shouting of might, nor the sound of shouting of weakness, but a distressing sound do I hear. And it happened as he drew near the camp, he saw the calf and the dances, that Moshe's anger burned, and he threw down the tablets from his hand and shattered them at the bottom of the mountain. He took the calf that they had made and he burned it into fire and ground it until it was fine powder. He strewed it upon the water. He gave the Israelites to drink it. And Moshe said to Aaron, what did this nation do to you that you brought this great sin? And Aaron answered back that let not my master's anger burn. You are aware that the nation is in a bad state. They said to me, make for us gods that we will go before us. For this man Moses, who brought us up from Egypt, we do not know what became of him. So ultimately, this is the story of the golden calf and the punishment of those that sinned in the golden calf. And Moshe says, who is for Hashem? Mila Hashem Eli, who is for Hashem? Come with me. And all the Levites gathered him, and they helped Moshe with regard to those that deserved to be punished, those that had witnesses and were warned. They got the death penalty. Those that didn't, there was a plague that came and killed them, and there was some that drank the powder from the ground up golden calf. They died as well. So this is the story. And then this is the famous verse in 32. It says, if you forgive them, if you bear their sin, and now if you would but bear their sin, but if not, erase me now from your book that you have written. So here Moshe sort of like threatens Hashem and tells him, make sure to forgive. You better forgive the Jewish people, otherwise don't even mention me. Erase my name from the book. And that's why last week's Torah portion didn't have Moshe's name. And then Hashem said to Moshe, whoever has sinned against me, I shall erase him from my book. And now go lead the people. And my angel will go before you. And Hashem smote the people with a plague. And these are the plague was for the people that they had witnesses, but they weren't warned. And the drinking of the ground up golden calf was for those that didn't have witnesses. And so ultimately the people were punished. And now in chapter 33 is where the complicated chapter is, and that has to do with Moshe asking Hashem, I'd like to see you. The question is, how does this fit in? He's lucky that he's alive. Lucky the Jewish people are alive. Now he wants to understand God. And then there's a few other verses that also seem a little complicated. Verse 4, the people heard this bad tiding that I will send an angel before you, and I shall drive out the Canaanite and all the other nations, the land flowing with milk and honey, for I will not ascend in your midst, for you are a stiff-necked people, lest I will annihilate you on the way. So God is saying he's sending this angel instead of himself being with us. He's sending an angel. And the people heard this bad tiding and they grieved. And they each man did not put on his crown. So the crowns we're talking about are the crowns that they got at Sinai when they said, Na'aseh v'nishma, we will do and we will understand. So here it says that they did not put on their crown because they were so sad hearing these this bad news that Hashem is not going to be going with them. He's just going to send a angel with them. And in verse 5, Hashem said to Moses, Hashem said to Moshe, say to the children of Israel, you're a stiff-necked people. If I ascend among you, I may annihilate you in an instant. Now remove your crown from upon you, and I shall know what I shall do to you. So Hashem tells them, remove your crown, and I will decide what I'm going to do. So the children of Israel were divested of their crown from Har Sinai. Mount Har Chorev uses the term, which is Har Sinai. So Rabbi Sacks is going to ask, before it says they didn't put on the crown, and here it's saying that they were told to take off the crown, but they didn't put it on. So that is one contradiction, just to begin with, that we already have. Did they have the crown on, or the verse says they didn't put it on? So why is Hashem telling them in the verse later they should take it off, and then in two verses later it says then they took it off? So the children of Israel were divested of their crown from Har Chorev, which was Mount Sinai. And verse 7 says Moses would take the tent and pitch it outside the camp, far from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. It would be that whoever would seek Hashem would go out to the tent of meeting. So once they sinned, Moshe took his tent outside, and he called it this Ohel Moed, the tent of meeting, outside the camp. And it would be when Moshe would go out to the tent, so all the people would rise and they would stand, and everyone at the entrance of his tent, and they would gaze after Moses until he would arrive at the tent. And then Hashem would speak to Moses face to face, as a person speaks to his friend, and he would return to the camp, and his servant Yoshua ben Nun, Joshua, a lad, would not depart from within the tent. And then it continues, and this is where it's really surprising. Moshe tells Hashem, and try to understand this. Moshe tells Hashem, look, you say to me, take this people onward, but you did not inform me with whom. Let me mute it. So Moshe tells Hashem, he says, you told me, take this people onward, but you did not inform me whom you will send with me. Yet you said, I have made you known with high repute, and you have also found favor in my eyes. And now, if I have indeed found favor in your eyes, make your ways known to me. So I want to know your ways. This is what Moshe is saying. I want to know you. Make your ways known to me so that I may know you, so that I shall find favor in your eyes and see that this nation is your people. So he wants something from Hashem to show that Hashem has found favor, and that this nation is your people. He wants Hashem to do something. And Hashem says, he said, my face shall go and I shall provide you rest. What does that mean? I shall go. And so it seems to mean over here that Hashem is saying, I'm not going to send the angel, I will go myself. That's the way Rashi explains it, that Hashem is replying to Moses that I am going to give in, and I will come myself. And then the verse says, if your presence does not go out, do not bring us onward from here. So Moshe is somehow answering back that if you don't come with us, don't take us out of here. But Hashem said he is taking them out. So Rabbi Sacks finds this also to be another contradiction or anomaly. So Uvameyi Vada Ephoi, and then it says, how then will it be known that I have found favor in your eyes, I and your people? Is it not through your going with us? And I and your people should be set apart from all the people who are on the face of the earth. So Hashem says to Moshe, Hashem said to Moshe, this matter too, of which you spoke, I will do, for you have found favor in my eyes. I have known you by name. And Rashi over here tells us it means that Hashem agreed not to give his Shechina to the other nations of the world. It's going to just go to the Jewish people. And even Bilam, who did have some level of Shechina, wasn't complete. He would have to fall, and he didn't have a full vision, so to speak. It wasn't a full-fledged Shechina revelation. It wasn't a divine presence revelation, even Bilam. And then verse 18, what does Moshe do? He says, please show me your kavaydecha, your glory. So again, Moshe is asking for some spiritual gift. He wants, show me your glory. In verse 19, he says, I shall cause all my goodness to pass before you, and I shall call out with the name Hashem before you. I shall show favor when I shall show favor, and I shall have mercy when I shall have mercy. And he in verse 20, he said, you shall not be able to see my face, for no human can see my face and live. Hashem said, behold, there is a place with me, and you will stand on the rock. When my glory passes by, I shall place you in the cleft of the rock, and I shall cover you with my palm until I have passed. Then I shall remove my palm, and you will see my back, but my face may not be seen. So here, Moshe wants some spiritual gift to be able to see God or have something with God's glory, and definitely not the easy. This is not like the easiest chapter of the Chumash of the Torah to read. We don't know exactly what Moshe wants, at least, but somehow he's trying to get some spiritual gift, and Hashem, and he wants to see God. But why does he want this now, right after the sin of the golden calf? I don't know if this would be the best time to ask for some gift. Maybe he should wait till God is appeased. So this is where Rabbi Sacks has his essay. Yes, Ezra.
Well, when we look at what happens, Moshe in the beginning basically says to God, I don't want this. I want nothing at all to do with this. And so therefore, please send somebody else. And Hashem becomes angry at him. Finally, Moshe relents only if his brother is involved, etc. And so we can say from the beginning that Moshe really didn't want to be involved as a leader of this people. Yet at this point, he does a complete 180-degree turn on this, in which Hashem realizes that now he will put his own life in front of, to save the people, whereas before he didn't. So now he will. And because of that, Hashem, is sort of, it's like a proud parent, where a parent finally sees that his son has achieved something that makes him a proud individual. So Moshe sees this. And so, there's no the old saying, strike while the iron is hot. So at this point, he says, okay, if you accept what I'm saying, let me ask you this. And so he asks this particular thing. So in some ways you could say, okay, he's maybe a little bit chuspaniak in this, but why not? He just put his life on the line, and Hashem basically said, I see how far you have come,
right?
And that in itself is in the merit of the people that you are leading, because you've taken them under your wing. You've become the actual shepherd.
Right. I like what you're saying. Mainly the point that he's proven himself as a someone who's putting his life on the line, and maybe we don't exactly see that so clearly before, even though there were certain scenarios where he was going into Pharaoh's palace without being, without permission, just walking right in and speaking to him. So there were some scenarios, but you don't see that like now. He's putting his, here you see it very clearly where he's fighting with God, so to speak, which is really putting his life on the line, and breaking the tablets, which was God's work of art, and he just smashes it. And so he's putting his life, not physical life, but more importantly, his spiritual life he's putting online. So I think that's a very powerful point, Ezra, and a very interesting thing. I wouldn't necessarily say that the fact that he didn't want the job at first, and I think once he took the job, he would have put his life on the line all along. I just don't, in other words, it's not that he's reached this stage. I think he all along was willing to put his life on the line, but we didn't see it manifest itself because it didn't come up. And here, where the Jewish people sinned, is where he's really putting his life on the line, because here the Jewish people, have proven themselves as, rebellious, and yet he's still sticking up for us. So this is really going against all logic, and he's really putting his name and his reputation on the line. And it's almost like he's losing his reputation. He's fighting for someone who doesn't deserve necessarily to be fought for, and he's still fighting for them, and to a certain, at least to a certain extent. So yeah, so it's definitely I think it's a very nice insight, Ezra Shkoyach. Yes, Ben. I'm sorry, Ezra. Did you want to say 1 second, Ben? Ezra, did you want to say one line?
I wanted to say that the fact that Moshe basically says to God, send whoever you want to send, is not an indication that he's accepting it right then and there. I mean, it isn't until Hashem agrees to have his brother come with him, and the two of them work together, that Moshe really accepts this.
True. But my point was, once he did accept it, I don't think it's that he wasn't on this level until now where he's willing to put his life on the line. I think all along, once he accepted it, from day one, once he accepted it, he was ready to put it. I mean, he put his life on the line even before he accepted it. He already went to kill the Egyptian. So we do find that he did put his life on the line for other Jewish people. He was willing to even kill that Egyptian, and in order to save the life of a Jewish person. So and he almost got killed for it. And then he's sticking up for those girls in Midian, who ends up, one of them becomes his wife. But ultimately, I mean, he does stick his life on the line at times. We do see that, even before. But I just think that I think your point is a very good point, that it didn't express itself to the extent that it does here, where he's fighting for the for the people who have sinned, and he's begging Hashem to have mercy on us. And even though he has all to gain, because it'll all be him in the future, and he drops everything. So I think it's a very good point. But very nice, yeah. Ben.
Yeah, I wanted to say it's puzzling to me that Moses didn't want the job. He was convinced to take the Jews out of Egypt. But now God is telling him, take the people you took out of Egypt. So he's kind of telling Moses, these are the people you wanted to take out.
So are you asking a question? Like,
yeah.
Why is he? Why is he saying?
What's the change? Hashem wanted to take them out. He says, "I heard their cry, and I want to take them out." Right. He says to Moses, "The ones you took out."
So the commentaries explain. The understanding is that it's a good question what you're asking. The commentaries explain that actually what Hashem was saying is the nation that you wanted to take out is called the Erev Rav. that Moshe had taken out more people than just the Jewish people. There was a group of Egyptian converts that Moses thought would be so good, and that's what God is saying. That term that you're quoting is where Hashem says your nation, meaning the people that you that you took out of Egypt. Forget which verse that was, but that's that term is that Asher Sisa me'eretz Mitzrayim, the people like the initial verse where he's saying they're sinning, right? Let me see if
it's a pasuk Aleph and Lamed Gimel.
Lamed Gimel, right. So the nation that you took out, meaning the insincere converts that you didn't ask Hashem about,
well, they didn't have registration, as to who's Jewish or not. Whoever wanted to come out, you let him come out.
Not necessarily. Here, Moshe actually agreed to let this group. It seemed like Moshe had things under control. Seemed like it was.
So he's blaming him now.
So here Moshe says, and that's why it says, "Ata v'ha'am asher ha'alesa miMitzrayim."
Yeah.
One second. Maybe I'm wrong. 1 second. This verse. Go ascend from here, you and the nation that you took out of Egypt, to the land. No, I don't think this is the place. In fact, Rashi over here says it doesn't say Amcha.
Yeah,
there's another verse where it says Amcha. No, it's in the previous chapter. It's the previous chapter. Look at the previous chapter, verse 7. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
And I think that's what you meant. Go descend here. Go descend, for your nation that you have brought up from Egypt has degenerated. That's what's bothering you. Yeah. Verse 7 and 32. That's really what your source is. Not
I
verse
saw
1.
it in a couple places. So to me, it sounded the same.
No, this is the real source. Verse 32, verse 7. That's the one.
Sign, yeah.
Your nation means the nation that you took out. That's the and it. So that I think that explains it why it says it that way. Anyway, so let's start with Rabbi Sacks's insight.
Okay.
Rabbi Sacks over here says that chapter 33 seems very surprising, and he says, "What's going on?" In the previous chapter, he prayed twice for the people to be forgiven. And in chapter 34, prays for forgiveness again. But what is he trying to achieve in chapter 33? And then he says the requests are strange, because he says things like, "Show me your ways, show me your glory." Very like spiritual requests, mystical experiences. How does this fit with the forgiveness that he's trying to get for the Jewish people? It doesn't seem like it's it fits in the context over here. And it's like his line here is, Moses is asking for a seminar in theology. Like where is he coming up with these questions? So it's a moment of national crisis, he says. Hashem is upset, Moshe is upset, the people are traumatized, the nation is in disarray. So what is Moshe doing asking for these things? And then he says that there seems to be some contradictions with for example, with the crowns. So first it says they didn't put on the crown. I mentioned this. It says they didn't put on the crown. Then it says take off. Then it says Hashem says take off the crown. And then in another place it says my presence will go with you. And then afterwards it says if your presence does not go with us, don't make us leave this place. And he says, it seems like everything is reversed. If the second sentence would be before the first sentence, it would make sense. But the order of the sentences seems to be wrong. Now, seems to be out of place. not wrong. Now, I should mention that with regard to the crowns, there is an explanation that's given, and that is that when the Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, so initially they had two crowns. They had the crown that we will do all your commandments, and they had a crown that we will listen and study. We will understand. We will get to know more, understand your commandments. So when they did not follow the commandments by worshiping the golden calf, they felt that they don't deserve to put on the crown of we will do, but that we will listen, we will study. The way it's translated, we will listen, meaning we will understand your commandments. That they said we're still going to do. We'll still study your Torah. We'll still we messed up. We didn't do the action right, so we can't put on the crown of we will do, but nishma, that we will study, that we can put on. And then in the next verse, Hashem says, no. They go hand in hand. If you don't fulfill my commandments, then you can't put on the crown of we will study. Only if you're interested in doing the commandments, then you can have the crown and take off the other crown as well. And that's one of the interpretations of the contradiction there. Yes.
I had a different take on it when I was reading it. I was thinking physically they might have had the crowns, but they didn't behave deserving the crowns. So later on, he tells them, take off your crowns.
But they never put it on, it says. First verse says they didn't put it on.
They
and then the next verse says,
meaning they didn't behave deserving a crown. They had it physically, but they didn't do anything to show that they were wearing a crown. Their deeds
so don't put it on means
match. Their deeds
they didn't put it on means they didn't deserve to put it on.
Right.
But okay, it doesn't really fit the words, no.
Yeah, I know. But
you're pushing it a little. All right. So the other place of the contradiction where it says if you don't take us out, if you don't lead us, then don't take us out from here. The understanding, at least with the way Rashi explains it, is that it's good that you will take us out, because if you wouldn't, then we wouldn't. Then we don't want to leave. They won't want to leave. Let me just read it inside. Here it is. Verse 14 and 15. So Rashi says over here in verse 14 that verse 14 says, I will go, meaning I will go before you, I will take you, it will be me, not an angel. And verse 15 says, Moshe says, this is what I want, because through an angel, don't take us out from here. So in other words, it's not like it's in the wrong order, but rather he's explaining that yes, this is good. He's emphasizing this is a good idea. This is great, because if not, then then don't take us out. So in any event, Rabbi Sacks wants to give another interpretation, and he says that in order to understand this, you also have to understand like what also was the sin of the golden calf. There are one verse implies that it's like they almost were worshiping the golden calf as if it's God. This Israel is your God who you brought out of Egypt. So there was such a sentence in such a verse in chapter 32. But it also says that they wanted the calf because we don't know what happened to Moses. So do they want a replacement of Hashem or a replacement of Moses? And that is one of the mysteries of the story of the golden calf, that it does leave it a little vague. What is the story of the golden calf? What were they looking to to replace? Were they looking to replace Hashem, or were they looking to replace Moses? And then another issue is, why is the building of the Mishkan right by the golden calf? So he says, surrounding it all is the larger mystery of the precise sequence of events involved in the long passages about the Mishkan before and after the golden calf. What was the relationship between the sanctuary and the calf? There seems to be some relationship because there were two Torah portions, Truma and Tetzaveh, before the story of the golden calf, and two Torah portions after the story of the golden calf, Vayakhel and Pekudei. The next two Torah portions also talk about the tabernacle. So the question is, so what is the connection here? Now, so he says that we also find that Moses pitches his tent outside. Moses pitches his tent outside of the camp, which is also a little surprising because Hashem says he's going to be sending an angel. He can't be in your midst. And what does Moshe do? He also decides, I'm leaving also, I'm out. What do you mean? Now Hashem is not there. This would be the opportune time for him to show some good chaplaincy skills and to show some warmth and to help out, give some encouragement and support for the Jewish people. And instead, we see that he just takes off.
But Rabbi,
yes,
he's already shown. I mean, the fact that he's fought the fight and they're still alive, that's shown that he has done his part. What he is showing them is, yes, I went to bat for you and I did all of this, but it doesn't mean that I like what you did. And so therefore, that's the reason why I'm going out.
So you see it as like a punishment, almost I'm not endorsing you. Almost like he doesn't want to endorse what they did. Is that how you're seeing it? Like not a punishment, but not a non-endorsement.
It's like, when your child does something wrong, you do a lot more by showing your displeasure and walking away than by taking them and smacking them on the tush and saying you did something wrong. And I think that that's exactly what he's showing there. Mm-hmm. It's saying, you did bad, and I'm telling you did bad, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Right. Okay, it's a nice explanation. I think it's well said. Yes, Anna.
I have a question about golden calf. What was it replaced? But according to what I read, it says that people who are not sure about the timing of Moses coming back from the mountain, they became restless because it was some kind of miscommunication about the time that he's supposed to come back. And when they came to Aaron and they said, you have to build for us a different God. That's why they definitely tried to replace the image of Hashem, not the image of Moses. That was my understanding. The second idea is that—
Just 1 second, let's talk about that for a moment. So the thing is that on the one hand, it sounds like you're right. There are verses that seem to imply that. On the other hand, it seems surprising. Why would they want to replace God when it's Moses who is missing? In other words, why are they replacing God? So that you have to keep that in mind. So it is a mystery. The story is sort of clouded in mystery. We don't see it so clearly in the verses, but there definitely, in addition to the fact that it is a little surprising practically why would they even think of doing such a sin to God after all the miracles that they just saw in front of their eyes.
Rabbi, that's the second idea. I believe that, first of all, Moses was chosen because of his compassion, because he was definitely a person who had very deep feelings about people who he brought from Egypt. That's why he tried to protect them at any cost, as well as he could. But I believe that all of his requests came from the idea that he was not totally sure that his followers would really, their belief is as strong, especially after the golden calf, that they would follow his commands, that unless God will show all the miracles and his own leadership, people who are in his camp, in his group, would follow the commands. I believe that maybe he needed more kind of a little support from God in building his image, in building the faith, in continuing to have his leadership in the right way. That's the kind of idea that I thought.
So you're saying that Moshe should have gotten more support?
He was asking for more because he was not completely sure that his own authority would be strong enough.
But that also doesn't, I mean, they really wanted Moses. That's why they even that's why they even went so far as to make the golden calf. I would think that they would be thrilled that Moses is back alive. They would be thrilled that they have him.
You believe that golden calf was a replacement of Moses?
Well, it definitely had to do with the fact that Moses was not there on time. He didn't return on time. And there's also a midrashic statement that says that they were told that Moses died. And they even saw in the heavens, they saw some image of a coffin with Moses in it.
The golden calf is actually an idol. It's not actually any leadership figure, someone who could really have any action, any support. That's it's
Right.
kind of makes no
Rabbi,
sense.
Rabbi,
I hear what you're saying, and you have a point. But
Rabbi.
there's also the flip side. There's also the other side of the coin there, and that has to do with Moshe being missing and the fact that they wanted something. Was it replacement of God? Was it more of a intermediary, like Moses had some element of intermediary type of figure? Maybe something along those lines. But it seems hard to say that it was an actual regular idol worship in the fullest form of idol worship. It seems very hard to say such a thing.
Okay,
Rabbi.
thank you.
Just one
Rabbi.
second, Moshe. Susan has something she wants to say.
I thought that the people didn't understand Moses because he couldn't speak very clearly because he had a injury. This. I don't think they understood him.
Well, that's not the common understanding. Is not because they didn't hear the words. It was that they miscalculated. The 40 days is day one, which is only a partial day. Is that considered day one? Or does day one start on the next day, which is a full day? So that's really where the miscommunication came in, not because they couldn't hear him clearly, but more because they miscalculated what day is considered day one.
I see. Okay.
So his impediment of speech was a excuse for him not to take the leadership, but ultimately seems like that we don't find that they had a problem hearing him at all. As Hashem said, I am the one who created the mouth. Don't you think I can make sure that everyone will understand you?
I see.
So,
Rabbi,
yes, Moshe.
there's a constant struggle for them to commit avodah zarah. They had such a strong, this was ingrained in them for over a long period of time. So it's highly unlikely that, first of all, it seems like Moshe had a very difficult time trying to deal with this. But obviously he was struggling with a people that basically constantly wanted to commit avodah zarah. Okay,
Moshe. So your bottom line is.
But the other thing I want to say, is that why did not Moshe Rabbeinu have a messenger up with him to deliver, to come and tell the people that he's still alive, and a constant, have him come to the kahal and tell them, he's still alive, And this is, in other words, it may have been that they wanted the Jews to sin. They wanted them to commit Averot. It's not
Who's
that
they?
maybe either Hashem or Moshe himself may have wanted that to happen. Why?
That seems very surprising.
To test him as a test. I mean, but I don't understand why Moshe did not have a messenger that would come periodically to the Kahal and tell them he's still alive, because this whole thing of breaking the tablets and the whole thing of the sin that was committed against the Jewish people may have not happened. It may have not happened.
Moshe, your name is Moshe. If Hashem calls upon you and says, "I want you to come to go up to the mountain over there in Coral Springs. There's a mountain at the edge of Coral Springs. I want you to go to the top of it. I'm going to speak with you. And are you going to take along someone just to be able to send back and forth, to be able to tell everyone that you're alive? You think you're going to just be comfortable doing that?"
Well, it would have.
I just want to know, would you be comfortable? God invited you to speak to him at the top of the mountain. The only mountain that we have here in Florida is Coral Springs, has like a little mountain over there.
Rabbi,
would you be willing to, would you just take someone along? I mean, you really think you're going to do something like that? I mean, that just doesn't sound right to me.
Not to enter a holy area, but
not holy. The Coral Springs is no holy mountain.
What? Just to let them know that he's alive. Are
you going to tell that? You're going to tell that to Hashem?
So they don't lose
I don't know, Moshe. It's a little pushing it. You're going to go up to Hashem and say, by the way, I took this person along just to tell everyone that I'm alive. I just want you to know I think Hashem knows what he's doing.
It would have kept hope. It would have kept hope amongst the Kahal. They wouldn't.
Okay, I'm not disagreeing.
It wouldn't have gotten out of hand as it did. It wouldn't have gotten out of hand.
I don't know if he would have needed it. He would have. I mean, you don't bring a guest, an uninvited guest, to when you speak to God.
Not when he's entering the house, but he would have known there would have been.
Moshe, if you invite someone over, does your wife like when they bring guests and that she's not even aware of them? I mean, even just for a regular dinner. I mean, it doesn't sound. I don't know. It doesn't sound so.
And
then you tell you'll tell your wife, "Oh, we're not really coming to eat. We're just coming to make sure everything is good. Everything is working out. We're not really coming to eat." Anyway, I don't know. I disagree with the logic, but it sounds. It's nice that you're thinking deeply into it. Yes, Isaac.
I am unmuted. I love his mamarim, his words, because he talks in such broad scope. It's beyond these little questions of whether you should take someone along or whether they would have done anything different. What he talks about is the immeasurable distance between the greatness of Hashem and the closeness that we should have to Hashem. I mean, forget about if he was in Chicago and you wanted to go see him there. You're talking about not planets and not solar systems and not Milky Ways, but billions of Milky Ways. I mean, these are numbers and distances and time frames that we can't even imagine. And we're saying we're talking to the thing that put it all into place. So it's not even the worlds, but it's what's keeping the worlds turning. That is Hashem. And at the same time, and I think this is where Moshe and V'shachanti b'soicham is so important, is that we are told that he is completely within us, that we can communicate with him, not in the sense of the way most people think of communicating with God. I need this, why did you do this, answer this? Because that's all coming from your ego. So we're right back to, and this is the essence of Yiddishkeit, is to totally sublimate your ego. Hashem's not interested in what you want, and you shouldn't be insulted about that. You should be so giving over to Hashem that you're in the presence of the entity that runs everything on a regular basis, that you should be sitting there saying Nasa v'nishma. Basically, what do you want me to do? You gave me instructions. Let me see if I can do this better. Let me see if I can do that better. And he leaves it to you to pick your mitzvos. He doesn't say if you have these kinds of sins, you should be doing this. Go do your life. Go on with your life. Do what you're going to do. If you keep me in mind and make yourself aware of me, then I will be very close to you. You'll feel me, you'll see me, not ahead of time. You can't order Hashem. I know Hashem's coming and he's going to do this. We lost Navi, but you can look backwards. If you sensitize yourself, you can look back over your life and see where Hashem played a central role in what happened, which at the same time lowers you and raises him, but it still brings you closer together in that spiritual sense. And I think that's the point that he's making, that we as Jews were the only religion, he says, on the planet who can say Avinu and Malkeinu. We talk as a father to him, not just in the sense of he's our creator and he's the father, but in the sense where we have nothing to say even. You talk about an Eina Yedea Lishol. We are the helpless child who can't even speak, let alone say anything, thank for anything, asking for anything comes back to your own ego. But in the sense of Hashem, we're helpless babies, and that's okay.
So
And
Isaac,
can I ask a question to Isaac? Is this that you just said in the essay?
That's his essay.
So why don't you let the rabbi say the essay so we can hear it?
okay.
Yes,
That's fine.
he did. He takes.
No,
it
I didn't do the
by
answer yet, but it's okay. It's fine.
I'm sorry. I didn't need to hold it. Fine. I apologize.
Okay.
Never mind.
I consider it like as long as someone says it, that's good. It doesn't have to be my
I just,
voice.
I just need a couple seconds.
Ben.
The pasuk that you referred me to,
Yeah.
Shichet Amcha.
Yeah.
The only other time I saw the word Shichet was when God made the Mabul afterwards. I think in Noah there's a few times that
it does
they
say.
say
Right.
Shichet. So that's how serious the sin that they did is. That it's similar to what caused the Mabul.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Well, you have to understand, even if they were making this image as a connection to Moshe, but the fact is there's a prohibition of making an image, making such an image. So they did transgress no matter what. However you translate it, there definitely was some type of a transgression. The question is only if it was like as severe as the full-fledged idol worship or not. Okay, so let's get
Shichet is very severe,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's I'm saying it's a good point. Good point. So Rabbi Sacks explains that the way he sees it, at least in his interpretation, is this: that the previous chapter is talking about how the people panicked because of the absence of Moshe, who they didn't know where he went, and they ultimately created this golden calf, and Hashem tells Moshe to go down and Lech Raid, go down, and people have been corrupt, as Ben just told us. The word shiches, which means corruption, which he sees as being a very serious sin, and of course it was the death penalty. So the suggestion is that Moshe's absence was the cause of the sin, meaning that had he stayed closer to the people, maybe they wouldn't have sinned. And Moshe took the point. He went down and he punished the guilty, and he, of course, prayed to Hashem to forgive them. And that was chapter 32. Now, what's interesting is the way he words it, that like Moshe, he says, he should have stayed closer to the people. Now that's a little hard to understand because Hashem told him to go up to heaven. What does he mean? He should have stayed closer to the people. But I think what he means is that had he stayed with the people, they wouldn't have had any thoughts of sinning, even without the fact that, of course, he was there. There was no reason to have a golden calf. But even without that, just being close, they needed someone that they needed closeness. So that was the idea of chapter 32. Chapter 33, and this is a mind-boggling innovation of Rabbi Sacks, the way he's explaining it, is having restored order to the people, Moshe now has a whole entirely new line of approach. And what he tells Hashem is, I am here today, and who knows about tomorrow. But you, Hashem, are eternal. And you need to be close to them. And so that's what Moshe is telling Hashem, almost like offering an alternative suggestion, which seems very chutzpahdik. And what Moshe was telling Hashem, and I believe this is connected to last week's essay, is that he was telling Hashem, you know, it's great that they know of you as someone who can make miracles and bring plagues to Egyptians and bring the entire Egypt down to its knees, divide the sea, overturning the very nature itself. Mount Sinai, you screamed out with the heavenly voice, with your voice. The Jewish people were so overwhelmed, and they said, we will die if we continue to listen. So Hashem had shown the people how the greatness, but the people need not just the greatness, but the closeness. And that's where, and that is really what we were saying last week about how Hashem is in our daily activities. And that's where he's continuing with this idea of chapter 33, is really saying that it's Hashem, it's about Hashem being in the world on a daily basis, and a regular basis, not on a miraculous basis. And this is the idea that Moshe went and pitched his tent outside the camp, saying that it's not my presence that they need, it's your presence, Hashem. And you need to be with them where they are. And that's why Hashem says that, that's why Moshe keeps asking these questions, which sound like theology questions, but really what he's asking is it possible for Hashem to connect with them on a personal and practical level, on a physical, not physical, but on a personal level? And Hashem is answering him, you can't see my face, but no one can see it and live, but you can see my back, you can see my presence, my glory. And this is what Moshe asked for when he realized that you can't see Hashem's ways or his face, but at least, and that's what Hashem caused when Hashem caused to pass by the rock, when Moshe was in the cleft of the rock. So we'll find later what that means, that Hashem's glory filled the Mishkan. We'll find that later, that Hashem's glory fills the Mishkan. So there is some element where we see that Hashem is connected to them on a personal level. And that is the meaning of let me make a sanctuary, let them make a sanctuary, I will dwell in it. And meaning, and the verse says, I will dwell amongst them. So it's this idea of the Shekhinah, which also has the same meaning as neighbor. Shachin means a neighbor. And that's the entire drama that's set in motion by the making of the golden calf, that Moshe pleads with Hashem to come closer to the people so they can encounter him on a daily basis, and they can encounter his presence. And then he brings the Kuzari, who says that the entire institution of the Mishkan was as a response to the golden calf, an acceptance by God of Moshe's request that he come close to the people. So we can't see his face, we can't understand his ways, but we can encounter his glory. And that's how when we build a house for Hashem, for his presence, that's when we can encounter him. And this is the miracle of Jewish spirituality that Judaism sort of reveal to the world, and that is that God is as abstract and awe-inspiring as can be imagined, more distant than the furthest star, more eternal than time itself, and yet no religion has ever felt God to be closer than the Jewish people, than Hashem is to the Jewish people. So we have the two extremes, and in the Talmud it says God listens to the debates between the sages, accepts their rulings even against the heavenly voice. God's relationship with Israel, with the prophets, and like a parent to a child, husband and wife. In the Song of Songs, you have the two lovers. In the Zohar, it uses the most daring language of passion, and as does the Yedid Nefesh song, which is from the Kabbalist Rabbi Lazar Azikri, beautiful Yedid Nefesh song, which is sang on Friday nights or in some shuls on Shabbos afternoon. Beautiful song that shows the love and the hunger, that it says a person is sick with love. It uses the term that a person has a Nafshi chaylas ahavasecha. My soul is sick with love for you. That's the term used in that song. Beautiful, beautiful song. And then the end of the essay, Rabbi Sacks says this is one of the striking differences between Jewish shuls and other places of worship, lahavdil. And he says that you sense in a shul, you sense the closeness of Hashem and the potential greatness of humankind. Other nations, they might worship Hashem, but we are the only ones who consider Hashem to be our close relative, and we count ourselves as Hashem's firstborn, as it says in the verse in Exodus, in the beginning of Exodus. And between the lines of Exodus 33, if we listen attentively enough, we will sense the emergence of one of the most distinctive and paradoxical features of Jewish spirituality. No religion has ever held Hashem higher, but none has ever felt Hashem closer. And that is what Moshe sought and achieved in his most daring conversation with Hashem. So that is the beautiful insight of Rabbi Sacks. I must say it's a very innovative thought to say that Moshe had the chutzpah to even to ask such a thing and to tell Hashem, you want me to be close to the people, but it's really you. But but what it really does is it sort of fits with the idea of what a Jewish leader is, supposed to put his life on the line. And I can't think of anyone putting their life more on the line than to tell Hashem that you should do this. You have to do it this way, as if giving Hashem an alternative plan.
Rabbi,
that, try my way. So
Rabbi,
it's a very beautiful insight, I think. But even whether you like it or you're nervous of saying such a dangerous statement, the truth is that Hashem is close to us. At the same time, Hashem is the greatest of great, that we can't even imagine the greatness of Hashem. So the fact is that it's true, whatever it is. If you want to fit it into chapter 33, that's a very innovative idea. And I must say it was definitely very nice to have a little explanation of it, which is, it really gives us the ability to at least have an understanding. A chapter that I've always struggled with. Whenever I have learned it, this definitely added a lot to my way of understanding it. Yes, Moshe.
Well, you on Yom Kippur, the Ne'ilah service, as we approach the end of the service, the man acts as the rabbi acts as an intermediary between Hashem opening the gates of heaven and also, so I mean, it shows the closeness that Moshe had to have. Hold on one second, I'm sorry. That the Moshe had to have with the Kahal as well as Hashem, because
Uh-huh.
at that point,
Okay,
at
good
the end
point.
of you understand, he
Mo-
opens. It's
Moshe,
not
Moshe, let me cut you off. I'm sorry, but people want to leave. It's already 6 minutes late. But the idea is that you're asking a very strong question. You're asking that is Moshe really saying that I shouldn't be close to them, only Hashem? And what you're asking is really Moshe also needs to be close to the Jewish people. That's a very good question. My understanding is Moshe did not mean to say that he shouldn't be close to them. I think he was bringing out his point that Hashem needs to be close to them, but obviously his closeness was also important. I don't think he was saying that he shouldn't be close to them. I think he was just emphasizing, he was trying to overly emphasize that Hashem should be close. I hope that answers your question. Okay, sei gesund, everyone. Have a wonderful
Thank you.
evening.
Thank you for a great class, everyone.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Very nice ideas.